Hello everybody, I'm Mark and here's Chris. We are the Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones of video game development.
Okay.
Quincy Jones passed away,
I'm assuming
mate.
that I'm assuming you're meaning that you're the Quincy out of all this setup.
I don't know. I was thinking, I don't know which way round it would be. Are you the performer? Or am I the performer?
Well, I mean, stepping aside for the fact that we don't really map onto a traditional musician and producer setup in quite the right way that you might expect. I don't really know. I mean, I don't think. I mean, you're clearly not a Michael Jackson, are you? Jesus.
No, and you play the guitar, so you're probably closer. You've had more stage time than I've had, so you're probably closer to the mighty MJ.
I've had a lot of stage time. That's very true. Yeah. So so you're insinuating that you're the secret source behind my success, I guess, is what you're getting.
Well, I did used to claim to be the producer. No, well, I'm claiming it now. I'm the producer of the last Starship. There you go. So it does stand up to scrutiny when you look at it. So I think the first thing to talk about, mate, is the re-release of the demo.
Yeah, I know. That's
big,
quite a
isn't
big deal, isn't it? Yeah, I think what it is that Alpha 11, we spent a lot of time for Alpha 11 reconceptualizing the start of the game, didn't we? And I think maybe even people watching this video have heard us talk about it a lot. Like, the funny thing about a demo is that I imagine the people that are watching this video, the demo is probably the least interesting thing that we could possibly talk about, because I imagine the people watching this game already own the game.
Well, I don't know.
But if they don't own the game, and if they're still unsure if they want to put down their money and get involved, then, well, there's now a free demo. That's how confident we are.
Yeah, that's it, exactly that. And I hope that there are people that are watching these videos, you know, because they're interested in it, and they're taking their time to decide the point at which they want to jump in, right? Because not everybody wants to play a game in a very early form. Some people do, you know. Other people want to wait until it's further along. And
I get that.
You know, there's a journey, isn't there? And everybody chooses their own moment to jump in. But like I say, with the demo, it should make it easier to make that decision about whether now is the right moment or whether you want to give it a little bit longer.
Absolutely, yeah. And it means you've got less chance of wasting your money. And, you know, we don't actually want anyone to buy and refund, because it's not good for us either. Decided they liked it. And also, if the demo, we're nice about it. If you play the demo and complete one of these missions and then you buy the game just carries on. It carries on from where you were in the demo. So you don't lose any. We've always hated that about demos. Like when you play a demo and you say, this is really great, and then you buy the game and you have to start again. It's always really been a pet.
Is it?
Exactly. Cool. Yeah, that's it. That's the demo. All right, let's move on. So, by popular request, I've been messing with the ship editor in the game. We've found quite a lot of players, especially players that have been in the game for a while, end up in the ship editor, end up building like massive ships and sharing on the Steam Workshop. And it's a bit of, you know, it's a little bit, there's a bit of jank in the editor.
Right.
And so it's had some updates. The biggest thing that I've changed is that you can now properly erase things that you're working on, which you couldn't do previously. So if you go for, say you're building like your habitation deck out, like you can expand habitation out like this, just like you could before. And maybe you decide that I don't know, I don't really like this. Right, you can go into erase mode. Right, you see there's these two tabs. And when you're in erase mode, these are all the things that you can erase, and you can now erase habitation and remove it.
And you can erase it's symmetric as well. Yes.
So it follows by the symmetry rules. So you can toggle between them, so you can go, okay, let's do some scaffold. There you go. I like this scaffolding. And then you can, moments later, you can say, no, I don't like it. I'll erase it. And it seems like a... Cool. I mean, you should have been able to do this a long time ago.
Yes, really.
It's taken us until now. Something else that you can do, I mean... when you're drawing the hull, like the fuselage, it's a little awkward when it comes to erasing a fuselage. Like you've been able to delete the fuselage before, but it just sort of leaves your ship wide open to space, and you have to sort of So previously, if you said I want to erase that area there, you would have ended up with no wall around this edge.
Okay.
Just because of the way that it worked. Well, now it'll actually do that for you, and you can see it tells you there's the red squares are what I'm going to erase, again, symmetrical, and the blue squares represent where it's going to rebuild the interior wall for us automatically. Okay. So when you commit it, that's your new layout. Right? And so you can, and it works with fairly intricate, elaborate shapes as well. It'll do its best to rebuild a sensible interior wall setup based on what you erase. Nice.
Yeah, and presumably you can still change that if you wanted, if you didn't like that.
Yeah, you can always go back and change it in the editor by flicking between drawing mode and erasing mode.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
I mean, you can place it back easily if you go, oh crap, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Let's have a look at some. So we've done some more story episodes, right? So we've messed around with some story stuff. Let's have a little look. We've got. Let me load up. Oh, I've got so many save games. You wouldn't believe how many save games I have these days. So the trouble with Tidlets continues as a storyline.
There's a lot of trouble there.
Part one of the Tidlets storyline was included in Alpha 11, and we've advanced it a bit more. This storyline about these silly little cute Tidlets has ended up expanding into like the biggest storyline in the whole game. It's written as a 4-parter currently.
Wow.
Not all 4 parts are in this alpha, but we have done the next stages. It's really interesting. I just found something about it. There's something about the charm of it that just makes it very writable.
Yeah.
It's not serious.
Cool as well.
It's not serious the way the Stargate is, or the vacuum collapse or anything. We've also gone back to, if you remember, in Alpha 11, we largely removed the opening Stargate tutorial. It used to be where the game began. New players would go straight into the Stargate, and we just decided that was a terrible idea. And that was totally the right choice. And so the Stargate project sort of evaporated for a while, but we've brought it back.
Well, I think the Stargate project is a big part of the mid-game. That's why it needs to be there. And we were losing a lot of people. They just weren't continuing to play. And I think that we've done such a better job now with the opening, the opening hour. But the stories, they go a certain distance, don't they? They go so far. But actually, I want to build like a big sandboxy experience. And I think that's what the Stargate is.
Yeah. So I've remade it quite heavily. It's still recognisably a very similar project. This is the spaceship that you get now. You can see it's all had a bit of a redesign. It's the same basic 4-module ship, but it's had a bit of a change to its layout. It's actually a bit smaller as well. Like I feel like we were giving players too big a
I think we were
a ship previously, and it's got it's now wrapped in this story episode called Deep Space Industrialists.
Cool.
And it's about this sort of this aging kind of space industrialist character called Alexander James Ellistar, who has this kind of business idea to get involved in this mega project, because it is essentially a mega project. It's called the Andromeda Project in this new storyline version. Quite interesting, because we came at this Stargate thing from a pure Factorio approach, right? Which is like, let's just do the industry, let's just have mining and refining and building parts. Whereas now I've come at it again with more of a story-driven approach to it, even though the underlying mechanics are the same. So that's in Alpha 12 as well. If I load a little bit of a later save up, like say this one, you'll see this is that exact storyline a little along. Similar, but I think it was so not the first thing the first thing that they experience in the game. Here's something that's been very strongly requested. You can now sack people.
Oh, I like that.
You've never been able to sack people before. And I think that's just everything that's wrong with the world now, isn't it? You can't fucking sack anyone.
Can't fire anyone, can you? No.
So, now you can, right? So here's a little ship this is a gas collector ship. This is part of like the Deep Space Industrialist storyline. We're just sat in this nebula gathering gas. Well, I think that it's become mostly automated now, and I think these people are just, look at them, it's like lazy sods.
Yeah, not doing anything.
They're clearly not needed.
Taken over their world, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah. So I can go to the trade screen now, and it's under sell, right? And the reason why it's under sell is that this is where you get things off your ship from a user interface standpoint. So crew show up, but you're not really selling them, you're just sacking them.
No.
So I think we can reduce them down to maybe 2. There you go. So I'm going to sack 8 of our employees. That might be a little bit heavy going, but I don't know.
We'll see what happens, won't we?
Yeah. Elon seems to do this, doesn't he? He just goes in and sacks 18
he does.
of the employees.
He sacks a lot of people, doesn't he?
All right, here we go. So here comes the sack shuttle.
Sack shuttle.
Right.
The Riff bus. There you go. That's an obscure one.
Yeah. That's it. And then, so, I mean, it's a small thing, but it's actually been very strongly requested. A lot of the time you end up with too many employees because you needed them earlier when you were building the ship out.
Yeah.
You just don't need them anymore.
And now they're just a waste of oxygen.
Exactly.
But they've got, they need to go on and do new things as well. They need to,
It's an opportunity
grow
for them,
and develop.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's an opportunity for them, exactly.
It's about the people you meet along the way, isn't it?
That's right.
I'm sure they had very good severance pay.
Oh, they would have done.
And I'm certain the state of the United Federation of Planets will look after them.
Yeah, of course.
In this future.
Of course.
All right, so moving on. Do you notice anything?
Moving on.
Notice anything different visually?
Oh, yes. I do notice something different.
A little bit of a three-dimensional parallax effect.
Yes, that looks good, doesn't it? Yeah.
That's all right, isn't it? Look at that. Yeah. A little bit of a separation. It came to me.
It's nice.
In a flash of inspiration, it came to me suddenly about how I could bring a little bit of depth and three-dimensionality. So you see as you move it around, like conceptually, the spaceships are on at level 0, and the asteroids and everything are all beneath, right? And they are actually beneath, and ships kind of float on top like this. There's another ship.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then debris fields and things like that, and drones and stuff. Drones are on top, so drones are kind of floating on top.
Yeah, cool, man.
Pretty sweet, isn't it?
Yeah, just little things that sell it a lot.
Yeah, so if you can toggle it in here. There's parallax effect. You can go back to this is the Alpha 12 version of the same.
Yeah, it's not as good, is it? It looks
And that's what we've lived with this for sort of 2 years,
Yeah.
or longer even, and then suddenly it's all like it's like it's a new world. I quite like it, and it separates out the asteroids from each other as well.
Yeah, it does. They look cool.
I even added it to the Stargate in the background. See that?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah,
the Distant Stargate project. Just a little bit here and there. If you go to if you take I save game for massive debris fields, right? So here's an example of this ship's obviously been busy and has murdered a couple of massive battleships.
Work. Yeah.
And if you scroll in on these, you'll see that the destroyed ships are now behind us, and the debris on top forms like a giant.
Oh, that's really cool,
three-dimensional field.
It looks really good, doesn't it?
Engine hack, absolute balls to the wall engine hack. Right, there's no three-dimensionality here whatsoever. It's also, all 3D graphics is a hack, isn't it? If you're going to be philosophical about it. But yeah, I've been quite enjoying that. It's taken me a while, but yeah. Right, let's go on to let's talk about combat zones.
Oh, this is another thing I'm excited about. This is it comes back to this same idea, right, about replayability and the sandbox sort of side of things. So yes, combat zones. I've been looking forward to this for ages.
I think though that I'm going to go to a different save. I'm going to go to this one. Same ship, similar. Right? This is some of our community ships. So I've got a little fleet here. I've got this beast of a machine. And I've got this tiny little runny thing, and I've got this gorgeous
look at that
piece of equipment, which is like a sort of industrial mining thing. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to take these zones that are marked as hostiles. They've been in the game for ages. Right? They've always been there, right from the start. And when you went there, there was like 2 or 3 ships, maybe, in that system. And you would have a fairly unsatisfying battle with them. And then that was it. The hostiles tag evaporated.
Yeah.
And that was it. And we didn't really do anything with it. So I've been working on making this much more of a place, these hostile zones. So let's go and visit it, shall we? The general idea is that these are like lawless, dangerous badlands, right?
The final frontier, the Wild West.
Full of dangerous people and treasures and loot as well, right? Positive things as well, right? Rewards. So it starts quite similar, right? You can see I've jumped in with my fleet. There's a little timer that tells me that some hostiles are on their way in, right? You see there's a bit of an asteroid belt. There's a bit of a dust cloud. See, it's a little bit more murky, right, than normal. A little bit more of a, like we're on the edge of a nebula, you know?
Yes.
So I don't actually know what's going to happen here. It is pseudo-random.
I like that. That's cool. I like the fact they're hiding.
Here we go. Here they are.
Oh, so look at them.
A hostile fleet has just warped in. So let's have a look at them, shall we? I've paused it, right? So we have a prototype carrier, right? This thing. Class 4.
Class 4 prototype carrier.
Something called an Arrow, Class 2. And a couple of other Class 1 things. Now, I will do... So let's go for battle stations, right? I'm going to click on battle stations. Little thing that I've changed, right? When our guns become active, you see how they kind of stand out a lot more now. I've made them a lot more visible. And the same is true as well on the hostile ships, right?
Oh,
all of their guns are much more visible. So you can actually eyeball a ship and tell where its dangerous weapons are.
That's nice, yeah.
Just need to turn the game sound. So
that'll get loud.
So what is this class thing, right? I was
about to ask that.
I had to write a new grading system for combat. And although that might seem not especially exciting, it's actually the key to all of this combat zone stuff, because previously the game tries to spawn a fleet that is going to be a good challenge for you. Right? That's the key of it. You go to a combat zone, the game is going to be like, I want to spawn a fleet that you're going to fight, and you're going to be challenged, but you're not going to be completely overwhelmed by something ridiculous. And previously it was based on the value of your ship, like the financial value, the trade value of your ship.
Yeah, I remember.
So this ship has a value of 16 million credits. And that makes sense because it is a big, beastie combat vessel. So if you jumped here, you could say, all right, well, that's 16 million credits. So I'll spawn enemy ships with a value of 16 million credits. That was how it worked previously. But the deep flaw in that logic is that the Aberration of Light ship, which has no defenses whatsoever, with this ship, you would have the same enemy attack you as if you jumped with this beastie warship covered in guns.
Doesn't seem as if it would be a fair fight.
It would not be a fair fight. And so it consistently gets it wrong in both directions. So it would give you would jump in with a large, expensive but unarmed ship and you would be destroyed. Or you would jump in with a good combat ship and the enemy fleet would be big, right? Big ships, but with like one Gatling gun between them. And it would be a boring, incredibly boring, dissatisfying fight. So we were never going to have any good combat in the game until I resolved that, which I did. So now we have this new thing called a combat rank. And it's a hint to the player about where the danger really is, right? So we still have this thing coming towards us, which is class 4, and we have this thing which is class 1, which seems to be focusing on Aberration of Light. So now this grading is based entirely on the weapon system that the ship has. So if you're covered in cannons, every cannon, every railgun, every Gatling gun is worth a few points towards your rank. And if you're covered in armor, like this ship is, full armor coverage doubles the class, the combat class, if you like, of a ship.
So which is tougher? The higher the number, the tougher the ship.
Higher the number, the tougher the ship. So a class 1 ship like this is not really a big threat, right? You can see it's a reasonable sized ship. It looks like it's quite fast with 6 engines at the back, but it's only got a few Gatling guns.
Yeah,
right?
Got a couple of little things.
So
a little bit of personal defence.
Exactly. The real threat is this thing. And again, the game was never very good at telegraphing any of this to you. because in previous versions you couldn't see guns on the enemy ships.
Right.
So you couldn't tell how well armed they were. And it didn't really give you a hint about how dangerous they were either. So I've fixed all of that now. And you can see that we're reasonably on top of this. But I'm basically dealing with the ships that were easy to kill first. So what else have I done? You might have noticed that this SOS Hadron thing, which is getting beaten up now, was attacking this aberration of light defenseless vessel thing.
Yeah.
But now that I've kicked its ass a little bit, it has changed target, and it's now going to pursue my actual combat ship.
Oh, you've angered it. You've angered the wasp.
I've angered it, and I've drawn its attention, and I'm going to try and keep its attention now because I don't really want it damaging that thing. Let me just try and finish it off. In fact, whilst I'm doing that, let's get you guys out of here.
Get them to a safe distance.
Yeah, again, all of that stuff that I was doing there with parallax, right? I just paused the game. You can see how the drones are all in their separated layer of parallax.
Yeah.
It's like it affects here too.
It's
and then
nice.
These huge debris fields that appear and stuff. What else was I saying? Yeah, there you go. Let's slow you down. Let's bring you back. So as well as doing this grading, so the whole system of choosing enemy ships whenever you're getting involved in a battle, whether it's a mission or whether it's a combat zone or anything of the sort, is now based on this new combat rank rather than previously the trade value. Right, he's almost dead, so I can get in close.
You're taking a lot of fire. Yeah.
So the battle ends, and you see we get this hostiles destroyed rank increased thing. Now we had that before, but it was based on the trade value of the ships that you destroyed. Right? So if you blew up a big ship that had no guns, your combat rank would go up hugely because the trade value of that enemy ship was really high. So none of that made any sense. So battle's over, and so now we're into like the repair phase, right? You can see all of the drones are launching. All of our ships are doing any repairs that need to be done. Not too much. So I made another change. If you leave battle stations turned on when there's no enemy vessels, your drones will prioritize repairing your ship.
Okay.
And as soon as you turn battle stations off, all your guns retract, and your drones, they will still repair your ships, but they'll prioritize gathering loot, right? Gathering all the goodies.
The spoils of war.
The spoils of war, exactly. So you can see there's a big loot gathering exercise going on up there, which is what this aberration of light is really good at.
It looks cool as well, right? It looks really cool.
Yeah, it does, and it's like a so I think I've hinted enough. This hostile zone that we're in. Firstly, we've had a much better space battle than we would ever have had previously, as a combination of a whole bunch of those changes. I also fixed a lot of issues with the cannons and railguns not picking targets properly when they're on auto target, because you need them to be able to fire themselves if you haven't given them a specific target to fire at. But now you're into this this cooldown repair phase, right? But if you stay here for long enough, the cycle repeats, right? And you can see we get a new alert saying hostiles inbound. You get about a minute warning, right? And we survived that. We lost some armor, but we basically survived just fine. And our combat rank has gone up a bit, right? So the enemy fleet, the makeup of the enemy fleet is based on the combat rank of all of your ships put together and your combat rank. Right, so every time you're successful in your fight and you get more combat rank points at the end of the fight, your rank goes up and the enemy ships that arrive will be more dangerous.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Pretty cool shizzle, right? And,
it's good.
And this is what I've spent most of my time. All right, so this time only 2 enemy ships walked in, so that tells you straight away.
One of them's going to be absolutely badass.
So let's have a look. They warp in further away.
Morris.
I mean, I can tell which one it's going to be. We've got a Class 1 Scavenger JS who really is in the wrong system. And we've got one of these adaptable prime things, which looks like an absolute monster.
Class 6. Oh, I was going to ask you, is there a maximum class?
No, there is not.
No. Infinite.
There's a theoretical maximum class, but there's no limit. There's no limit. Yeah. So if I, what else? So if I, I'm going to leave this zone. Let's go to a different one. Let's go to a very different game. Right. Here's a ship from the opposite end of the spectrum. Look at the size of this thing. It's tiny. Absolutely teeny. This thing is a beast in the combat world, right?
Right.
It's an absolute beast. It's very small, right? It's really fast, and it's covered in guns, as you could see, right? So the way that those guns pop out like that gives you a lot more insight of where your strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah.
So let's take it's here. Let's take this little ship to a combat zone. So this ship would have this is only worth 5 million. This ship, it's only small, right? The size of the ship normally dictates the price, you know. So this is the kind of ship that would have been misgraded very badly in the previous alphas. So if we jump to a combat zone, again, this is one I've been at before. You can see I've been doing some work over here. We'll hang around this asteroid belt, and we'll wait to see what we get. The reason why I'm showing you this is that hopefully, although there is a little bit of randomness, you should see that we actually get quite a different experience with such a different combat vessel.
So what class is she then? A Bellatrix frigate?
It never tells you, right? The game,
I see.
The game has assessed our ship, and it's reduced it to a number, and it's also looked at how fast it is, and the makeup of your fleet, which in this case is one small fast ship. It's like a USS Defiant type vessel.
Yeah.
Whereas previously it was more like Battlestar Galactica with a couple of useless colony ships.
Yeah.
This ship is actually fast enough that we can get a reasonable. We can get. Oh, there you go. So we've got 4 enemy ships dropped in, right? And they're all kind of the small, fast, and dangerous variety. Yeah. Right?
Wasps, a swarm.
That's right. Oh, look at that's really cool design.
That's cool, isn't it? Yeah.
All forward firing. And what have we got over here? An arrow or something like that. Again, forward firing. So the game. I've been working on the AI of the game quite a lot as well. The enemy ship AI. It used to be incredibly dumb, and it only really knew how to do one thing, which was to orbit you at the wrong range. But now there are different classes of enemy ships. So this guy, for example, will probably try and this guy for certain, this Kestrel. The AI assesses the ship, right? So it knows the rank. It knows it's a class 2 ship, danger level, but it also knows that all of its guns fire forwards.
Yeah. Okay.
So as a result of that, its flight path will be entirely strafing, right? It'll be doing buzzing past us in a straight line, going straight past and then turning around, right? Whereas ships like this one, a little bit more side weaponry, or some of the bigger frigates that we've seen, they will try to do their orbiting, right, where they orbit you and fire sideways.
That's what I meant when I said strafing.
Oh yeah, of course. So you see, if I maneuver fast enough, if I turn hard and fast enough, you will actually find that a lot of missiles miss our target missiles.
Cool.
And try and get a good demonstration of it. It's your evasion rank, right? Your evasion rank is based on your velocity and how quickly you're turning.
Right.
This guy's easy. Again, you get quite a different battle, you know?
Yeah,
Having warped into this system in a different ship. The big leap is going to come straight at us now. I don't quite have that. So if I do... when you evade a missile, oh look at that parallax, I love it. When you evade a missile, it kind of curves off target like this. See, this shot here is curved off target and is slowed right down. That's how you know you successfully evaded a missile. See, I'm going like full Neo here. It's got quite a different look to it, hasn't it? You know?
Yeah, it does. It looks really good.
Evasive. There we go. Full turn. There we go. Evade. Open up. All right. AI. The extensions that I made to the AI also mean that if you say you're in one of those battles where you've got like one of the big frigates that has a lot of port and starboard weapons, right? It's all port and starboard cannons. They'll tend to orbit around you, right, and firing at you from one side. If you destroy all of their cannons, if you knock out a lot of their cannons on the side that's facing you, the AI recognizes that now. It didn't used to. It didn't used to really have any awareness of where its guns were at all. It'll recognize that and it'll reassess and it'll say, my best functioning weapons are actually on the port side now, or they're on the front now. And it will change its flight plan accordingly, based entirely on where its current functioning weapon systems are. Very interesting. You can start this from creative mode, right? If you go all the way back to creative mode, let's say we load up. What do people always load something massive? Like people always think, like, what happens if you load something massive, like this thing? We've had this before. The DRX Helicon Omicron, right? It's a monster of a ship, right? You can watch all its weapon systems come out in banks. So if you load this ship up in creative mode and then just fly immediately to a combat zone, well, in Alpha 11 you would fight one tiny little fighter, right? Because our combat rank is 0, right? So it would be scaled and you would get something pathetic, and it would be, again, very dissatisfying. Now, because we're rank 0, our first battle will be our easiest, but it still won't be that easy, right? This thing here is just like a line of railguns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 railguns on the front. That's their fire coming towards us. So what I'm getting at is that depending on the ship that you first go to the combat zone in, you'll get a very different opening experience, right? The enemy ships that you fight will be very different. Now, we're only rank 0, which means our combat rating is rank 0, which means that this won't be an especially challenging fight for us, because this is just such a beast of a ship, and they've just flown straight into our kill zone. But once these guys are dead, which is going to be in about 3 seconds, I've got to tell you, it's not entirely dissatisfying walking into a combat zone and annihilating the 2 enemies that happen to be
overkill, right?
Yeah, total overkill. But you see what happened there? We went from combat rank 0 to combat rank 3 in one go.
Okay,
we've jumped because it's such a big ship. So in other words, the game has recognised that we are way overpowered for rank 0 in this zone, and it's gone like, rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, right? And so the very next round of enemies that we face will be substantially harder straight away. So you get a very different experience as a result. So that is combat zones. Right?
Brilliant.
A whole bunch of extra changes on top of that may have made combat more enjoyable. And to be honest, I've spent most of the last 4 weeks engaged in combat against various, which has never really been a focus. It's always been kind of something that existed but didn't quite work.
It's taken a big step forward with it. Yeah.
The things that we're missing now, I can tell you, is that we're good for one ship, but we don't have any good fleet controls yet.
Right.
If I had 3 ships here, I need to be able to give each ship separate orders.
Yeah. You need to be the fleet admiral, right?
Yeah.
Rather than the ship captain.
But you can't do that yet. So that's coming. That'll come soon, I guess. So there we go. We get more. It's pretty cool, seeing them when they come in waves like that. There's something about it that just makes you go like, come on then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you just get nice and destructive. Yeah, that's it. I think that's the end of my demonstration of combat zones.
Wicked. Yeah, cool, man. It's really good.
People will like them. I think this represents sort of we've been doing story episodes for quite a while now.
Yes, we've been doing a lot of content.
We've been doing a lot of story episode content. And I think we want to get back to doing some, what you and I would call mid-game, end-game stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Right? That's it.
Which in the case of this update is the Stargate project and these fun combat zones.
Yeah.
And the editor stuff as well, I suppose. All stuff aimed at players that aren't necessarily beginners. I think maybe that's the way to go in the future, a bit more of a hybrid.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So we hope you all enjoyed that. That's the Alpha 12 video. The build is available on Steam now. I think the biggest thing is to spread the word about the demo. Let's keep building that community, and we'll see you in a few weeks for Alpha 13.
Fantastic.
Mark and Chris out.